Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Friday edition of the program. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got JC here in just a minute. Then we're going to have Thomas Goldkamp. Used to be covered the Gators with 24/7. I'm not sure who he's with now. We'll find out. But he loves some recruiting. So we'll talk some Gator recruiting, get all your questions since we don't really follow it. Let's go ahead and head to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. Did you watch any U.S.? Is that a pit hat you're wearing? Why are you wearing a pit hat?
The ACC defending champions there, brother. Defending ACC champions got Keaton Slope is coming in. Hey, you never know.
I'll be honest with you. I totally forgot they won the ACC. I had no idea.
They sure did. They went to the Orange Bowl too. Great year. And
they did. They didn't go to the Orange Bowl.
Well, what bowl did they go to?
I think they played in the Chick-fil-A Bowl.
Oh, well, okay. I thought the ACC champ usually went to the Orange Bowl if it wasn't in the rotation, but it doesn't matter. Either one. They went to a New Year's State Bowl. You could be right. They may have played you might be right. They may have played Michigan State in the Peach Bowl. Yeah. Okay. Well.
Oh, speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up. Because I want to say we all know that Cody Pickett didn't play in that game, and I think the running back. So I saw somebody tweet the other day,
Kenny Pickett,
and this was a pretty good idea, I thought. Okay. All these damn kids opting out, which still to this day I don't agree with because there's only a handful of kids that are going to be first round draft picks. Okay, they said that they should pay every player like $15,000 to play in that game on the rosters.
Oh,
if you dress out, you get like $15,000. I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Better than a neck warmer and a watch that's left in their room that they share with somebody. Yeah, that's a good idea, QB. I mean, whatever.
I mean, still those guys. Some of those guys would still opt out because that's not a lot of money in their mind because they're going to be making billions like Kyler Murray, which is, I mean, why would they pay that guy that kind of money?
That's the first question I asked when I saw that. I said, you have got to be kidding me. They're blowing up their salary cap for this dude. I mean, it's a great question. And I really have to ask a lot of, why do the Philadelphia 76ers want to give James Harden $34 million a year to play basketball?
Well, that's what they do in basketball, but in football, you don't have as much money as they do in basketball.
That's a good point. But, look at this guy Soto in Washington, who actually said no to $440 million over 15 years.
Because he's one of the best players in the league, and he can get – because you know who's going to pay him $500 million?
Who?
Oh, he's unbelievable, JC. He's only like 22 years old.
Oh, come on. I mean, we're talking about $500 million. Come on.
I know that, but you know who's going to give it to him?
Who's going to give it to him?
The team that wears the pinstripes. Watch.
Nah, I don't.
Watch.
So. They're going to go after.
Watch.
Nah, they're going to go.
He's one of the premier players in Major League Baseball, and he's so young and so talented. He will get over $500 million. I can promise you that. We got a text here on the Titan. Our text line just came through. Let's see who it's from. It's from Daryl. He says, JC reminds me of a NASCAR driver in the victory lane with all the different hats he wears.
That's right. Thank you so much, Daryl. I appreciate that. I love fast cars and fast everything. Yeah. So this guy, Murray, your hero in Arizona is worth this deal is worth $230.5 million and includes a $160 million guaranteed signing bonus. So all you really have to do is just be a so-so quarterback like, now I guess, Dak Prescott and Kyler Murray to be the highest paid players in football. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're both good players.
Yeah, they are.
They're not the premier guys in the
They're going to win
National
you.
Football League.
They're going to win you a Super Bowl. I mean, maybe. I don't.
You don't have. Here's the thing: is I don't think you have to win a Super Bowl to be one of the primetime players. Because I mean, you may not have great players around you to be able to win it, but I can tell you right now, there's 10 to 12 guys I'd pick before both of those guys. On my team.
I mean, he's a 2-time Pro Bowler for whatever that's worth, and was the number 1 pick in the 2019 NFL draft. So I guess his resume is pretty impressive. But man, it's a lot of money. I don't know. I think I could have found somebody else to save money with and get some other players around. What did Kyler Murray do without DeAndre Hopkins?
Nothing.
So you're going to go and empty the bank for a guy who really is dependent on the outside. And they don't have that right now. So, listen, that's why they're the Cardinals. They're not going to beat the Rams anyway, and the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl again. So how about that? So, to me, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead. What are you going to say?
So I was reading a lot about college football. We're getting ready, and the college football playoff has been in existence for 8 years. 8 years. Off the top of your head, just like this, tell me, can you name 10 of the 13 teams? Just rattle them off right now. Can you name all 13?
Let's see. Alabama, Georgia,
right.
Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Michigan State.
Yep.
Ohio State.
Yep.
LSU.
Yes.
Oklahoma.
Yes.
How many is that? That's 12, right?
No. 1, 2, 3, 4. You just named 7 of the 13.
Washington.
Very good, QB. 8.
Oregon.
Very good. 9.
There can't be many more, right?
You're just missing 4 more.
Michigan.
Yes. Very good. Last year. That should lead you to the other team.
I already said Ohio State and Michigan State.
Well, last year was Michigan, and who else showed up for the first time last year?
Notre Dame.
Well, they've been in twice, but yes.
Oh, Cincinnati.
Yes, and there's 1 more.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, you got 12. That's pretty good. I tell you what, I just threw that at you, and you rattled them off.
All right, we don't want to waste time. This is bad TV.
Florida
Who's
State.
the one?
Florida
State. What year did they go?
They lost to Oregon. Remember when Jameis went out to the Rose Bowl and they got smoked by the Ducks?
That was in the 14 playoff?
Yeah. And then Oregon went and played the Ohio State Buckeyes and got beat.
Oh wow! I didn't realize Florida State played in the 14. I remember that game, but I thought that was like part of the whatever else before the playoffs. But
now they played that.
So what is your point with that?
Not one. But the fact that there was, I just thought it was interesting that we've had the college football playoff for 8 years. That's 24 slots, but only 13 teams have gone, and there have been multiple returning teams. So
here's a question for you.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what the odds are or any of that, but do you think, obviously everybody in America thinks Alabama and Georgia are going to play for the SEC title in Atlanta.
They do think that, yes.
What are the odds of them playing again for the national title?
I'd say pretty darn good if their seasons go well. If they both show up undefeated, or if one of the teams has 1 loss and it's a close game in the SEC championship, and then nobody else is really standing out amongst the other college Power 5 conference champions, why wouldn't they? And the thing is that you have to have somebody in another conference go unbeaten is what I'm starting to believe. I'm believing that if Ohio State goes 13-0, wins their conference, goes 13-0, obviously they're going to be in, sure. And, then you'd have to have somebody like a Notre Dame or Clemson do the same thing for either Alabama or Georgia not to lose or not to get in.
I'm going to say right now, I haven't even thought about this, but these are the teams, in my opinion, that are right now, what is today, the 22nd of July. These are the people that will be that are probably going to be in the 14 playoff. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and USC.
Well, that's 5.
Yeah, so 4 of those 5, I think, will be. I don't know. I know nothing about Notre Dame. I haven't even looked at their schedule, so I don't know if they're going to be worth a darn.
They'll lose the first game of the season. They're going to lose their first game of the season.
But I think 4 of those 5 will be in the 14 playoff.
Why do you like Clemson?
Because Clemson was okay. So here, and I haven't really researched it, but I saw this. Okay. Do you know what Clemson's record was last year, JC?
Yeah, it was pretty good actually. It was 10.
They were 10. They were 10-3. And it was they were horrible. They have like everybody coming back on a stout defense.
Yeah, if
they will put the DJ Uiagalelei on the bench. By the way, who was a 5-star, blah 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 out of California, blah, blah, can't play dead in the Western. He can't.
Yeah.
I used to have I can't remember who the NFL offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. He used to always say that watching tape. This dude can't play dead in the Western. So that always rings in my head. They have a highly recruited kid, and like I said, we don't know if he can play, but if they can get any quarterback play, Clemson's going to run right through the ACC.
Well,
and then I don't know who USC plays outside the Pac-12 other than Notre Dame. And there's a lot of people that say USC. I read this too. They're the #1 betting favorite to win the national title next year, which makes no sense to me.
I didn't see that. I
read it somewhere.
I'm in Georgia. Well, go ahead, lay all your money on USC then. But I think in the ACC you're going to see Clemson be challenged by a couple of good teams. Wake Forest still gets their quarterback back.
Wake beat the crap. I mean, they got Clemson demolished Wake last year.
Oh, they did? Okay. Well, NC State's pretty good this year. I understand that. I think North Carolina will be a strong team, and I want to say that Virginia quarterback is back, aren't they?
So he is. I told people this the other day because I read one of those polls, and people were like, "Why is Anthony Richardson not in the top 10?" And this is one of those pro football, but his name is what is his name? Brennan Armstrong, right? Mm-hmm. Does that sound right?
That does sound right.
He's a lefty. And I said this. He is Tim Tebow, but way faster and a way better thrower.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a dual threat dude that if he can stay healthy, he's a freak. He transferred from like Oregon or somewhere like that 2 years ago. John says on Facebook Live, Cade Klubnik, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, will be the quarterback for Clemson this year, probably. Look, if they do, they're a team to watch. So, all right, JC, I want to switch gears. Still college football, but did you catch any of the SEC media days?
I caught some of it. Nothing too dramatic or exciting to me. But, yeah, I listened to some of the interviews,
Yeah, well, we got a text here on the Titan More text line from Frank. He says, Shane, did you see Roman Harper's comments about Anthony Richardson? He says, Anthony Richardson, he better get used to facing zero pressure. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm sending the house. If I keep him in the pocket, I win. One-on-one coverage because I'm not afraid of any of the guys on the outside. Those guys aren't going to beat me because I know AR can. I don't disagree with that.
Well, I would believe what Roman Harper says.
Right. The only thing, and I've always said this at every level. There's some quarterbacks that can really read coverages, pre-snap read, and dissect things and go through their progressions. If you do that, that means you're playing a lot of zone. Make them go through their reads.
Yes.
And if they can't do that, you're going to win. But if the quarterback is not a great reader of a defense, if he can't process information quickly, do not blitz him. Because when you blitz a guy, all they got is one-on-one coverage out there. You don't have to be a great thrower now. Your guy wins on because playing defensive back is hard. So if your guy wins on a route, a slant, or whatever, and that guy completes that ball, it's going to be a huge play. Yeah. So I hear what Roman Harper's saying. I would come after him here and there, but I would make him read defenses.
And, I think it makes sense. But I also think Billy's not going to make him do too many reads. He's going to take one guy, take two guys, and that's it. If your second guy isn't, then tuck it. I don't think they're going to make it hard for Anthony. I don't really think he's going to have large.
No, I know for a fact they're not.
Yeah, they're not going to make long progressions. And he's talking about Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall this, Ricky Pearsall that. The transfer guy from Arizona State. Look, we say there's nobody on the outside, but wait, we'll find out. I think we're going to have time to find out at some point because.
Well, I agree with what he says. I don't think there's anybody at the wide receiver position that keeps the defense coordinator awake at night on this roster.
Well, not yet. Yeah.
Andy says, Shane, how would you rate Anthony's anticipation skills? Not great. He's a big, strong guy. Usually strong arm guys don't anticipate. They see a guy open and then they throw it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. 1, 2, and go. 1, 2, and go. If one's not open, go to 2. If he's not, take off, man. And look.
Well, there's not going to be probably a whole lot of two-person reads. It's going to be a lot of RPO, which is a one-person read. JC, did you see Mike Leach at all?
Oh, I did. I listened to some of them, and they were talking about things none of them had anything to do with football.
Right. But the funny thing is, you know how when Sankey introduces the coach, they walk up to the podium, they kind of give a State of the Union address about your program, your team, and things. He just got up there and says, "All right, any questions?" And he had, because he wears, I don't know if people know this. He's such a strange dude. He wears cargo shorts every day. Cargo khaki shorts to practice, even to practice. So I saw a picture of him and his 3 players. They were all in their suits on the school plane. And he did have a jacket on, no tie, but he had on these wrinkled like Dockers. I mean, he goes, "I'm wearing my nice pants to SEC Media Days." The dude just kills me.
Well, it's just not that, where we all say it means more to him. It just doesn't mean, those things don't really mean anything to him. And if they do, that's his way of showing it. But I will say this. I think people better keep their eye on Mississippi State. I think the whole West is going to be really something. But this is a team that's got some of the oldest players, almost like BYU. They got a bunch of dudes that are fifth-year guys and seniors and everybody. This is a very experienced team. I'd be surprised if they don't surprise folks. Now, they have a very difficult schedule. They've got Georgia from the East coming into Starkville, so that's not a good draw. But, everybody in the West has a tough schedule, if you look at it that way. So
yes, Arkansas came out. They have the toughest schedule every year, but this year, once again, they have the toughest schedule in America. Facebook Live, great comments here by Joseph on brought to you by Melon Law.
Okay.
He goes, "I don't care about the offense. We all know we are going to be super conservative on that side of the ball, which we are. Sure. We're going to be a running football team. Get ready. You're going to have a stable of running backs." And let me get to the running back. Remind me to talk about the running backs here in just a second. He says he's more interested in the defense. We aren't very big. Oh, crap. It went away. Hang on. We aren't very big up front, but hopefully guys are hitting the right gaps and being where they're supposed to be to make plays. Big job for Patrick Toney. I can't agree more with that comment than any comment that we've had all year long. I've been saying it for 3 years now. Our front 7 is not SEC front 7. It ain't going to be this year either. But you can make up for it by playing hard, which we did not play hard at all times last year, and being in the right gaps. And it is going to be a big job for Patrick Toney. But I will tell you this. For whatever people want to say, I saw Will Muschamp a couple of weeks ago here in Gainesville, and we were talking. He says he absolutely loves the way Patrick Toney coaches defense. So that right there, coming from a dude who does know defense, should go a long ways. Now, but I agree 100% with that comment on Facebook Live. So back to the running backs. It's interesting, and I'm thinking that every major Power 5 school has to just put a player up for selection for these postseason awards. The Maxwell Award, not the Maxwell, but AR's up for the quarterback award. But Florida has Naquan Wright is up for the Doak Walker Award.
Oh.
Okay. Well, Naquan probably ain't going to be our starting tailback. But I will tell you, I love Naquan Wright. Don't get me wrong. This is nothing against Naquan because I think he's our best running back. But my point is, none of our running backs are going to win the Doak Walker Award. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I just thought it was interesting because he's not even going to be the starting running back.
Well, they're going to give it to a bunch of guys. I think Montrell's going to see a lot of carries, obviously. And remember, last year, Billy had 4 guys with over 100 rushing attempts. 4. He had 4 guys with over 100 rushing attempts. So this is how the offense works. And I think when Billy saw the roster, even before he put the pen to paper and became the Florida quarterback, he saw Anthony Richardson and said, I think I can do some damage with this guy at quarterback because of the offense that I'm going to run. So that's, it all fell into place, I think, for both him and Anthony. When Anthony found out that Billy was going to be his coach, he had to be excited about that, at least I would think. And then vice versa. Billy saw Anthony and said, yeah, we can do something here. So they're going to have a big, strong offensive line, at least try and find some big bodies and a bunch of running backs. And I think it's going to be, 3-4 yards this way, 3-4 yards that way, hopefully a big play on third down.
Oh, okay. So remember I was talking about, I read where to pay the players in the bowl games.
Yeah.
Remember this is actually came from a coach, the head coach at UT of the Roadrunners, Texas San Antonio, who actually went to a bowl game last year.
Right.
Their coach, he said he was asked if bowls are still a reward in college football system. Jeff Traylor's name brought up a crazy idea to intertwine NIL money with prize money. He said the players on the winning rosters of the bowl games get $10,000. The losers get none.
Oh.
That he goes, that'll get their asses up to play.
Yeah, it might bring some motivation. Yeah, you're right. I mean, everybody's so scared of getting hurt in these bowl games because they've got aspirations of something bigger. And I think, pay them. Well, I mean, hell, why not? Why not? I mean, who cares? These bowl games are just becoming glorified exhibitions that have become meaningless. And you can't even bet on them because of the player rosters being so gutted. It's brutal. I just can't take all these bowl games. I mean, it's not even fun to gamble on, QB, when you don't even know who's going to play or not. It's miserable.
We got a text here on the Titan Mark text line from William. William says, JC, your Yankees with that big payroll are only a few games ahead of the Houston Astros.
No,
I didn't even realize that.
I'm very concerned, as I think any like-minded New York Yankee fans would be, that they have absolutely nothing against you. They cannot beat the Astros, the Trash-Tros. And yesterday, the Trash-Tros swept them in a doubleheader, beat them twice. And so that's somebody that New York, they talk about, well, New York's got 62 wins. They're on their way to 120, 115 for the year. And maybe that's all true and good, but it means absolutely nothing if you can't beat Justin Verlander. Okay, it means absolutely nothing.
They didn't even see Justin.
I know
yet.
that's even more upsetting, right? And they certainly would see him in a 3 or 4 game or 5 or 7 game series, right? So I don't know what it is, but it's not good if you're a Yankee fan. And how many games you win during the regular season is not as important to me. And I look, Judge is going to get what he's going to get financially. He could be the MVP maybe if he has a good second half, or at least just doesn't fall off a cliff. But for me, it's more about the postseason. If Aaron Judge,
it has to be. You haven't been to the World Series in like 12 years. It's
ridiculous. If Aaron Judge doesn't turn into Thurman Munson in the postseason, then I don't want to pay him, half of Manhattan. I wouldn't want to, because from April to October, that's all swell. It doesn't matter until October. That's the way all of baseball is, just like what we saw in college. Nobody cared about Mississippi until they had to care about Mississippi. So, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's what happens in the postseason. That's how I would determine who gets paid or not if I'm a Brian Cash. And I know he could win the MVP, and those individual awards are swell. They do not do a damn thing for a team that has won 27 national champ, 27 World Series. That team has won 27, and that's the only thing that Yankee fans care about. The only thing. So hopefully they'll get their crap together, because they cannot beat the Trash-Tros. They can't beat them. So, are
you in the market to buy or sell your home? Doreen Weeby, a realtor at Caldwell Banker in Inman Parish, will provide you with fast, friendly, and reliable service. Give her a call today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Speaking with JC for a few more minutes, we'll be joined by Thomas Goldkamp. Talk a little Gator recruiting. There's the Alabama. JC spent $750 on that Coca-Cola at Bryant-Denny Stadium to get the souvenir cup.
You got this for me, QB, when you were selling cups.
That's the high school. Oh, that's the high school fundraiser for GHS football.
Okay.
Andy's got a question here on Facebook Live, or a comment brought to you by Melvin Law. It says QB can't say his name, but Princely I can't say it either. So Princely, you might be a guy to watch on the defense. Billy mentioned him, and he's kicking it in the weight room. And Wes said biggest difference from last year to this year is team discipline. I agree.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Because John says Napier mentioned the edge, the players that they have a certain look in their eyes.
Yeah.
Look, it's like I told Brent yesterday. Every coach that stands on that podium talks about, I'm really impressed. I love the way this team is working in the weight room. I love the way they're conditioning. They're competitive. Everybody says that. Everybody's lifting the same weights across the country. It's just going to come down to guys playing hard first. But like I said, this roster is not where the big boys in the conference is, and it's going to take time. Well, I agree. Kids are working hard. They're saying the right things. Yeah. They're excited for their new coaching staff. They're excited for the season. But so is every. How many teams are in America, JC, playing Division I football?
100 something. So I mean,
everybody's doing the same thing.
Well, and to me, I know you may not agree, but I think Ventrell Miller is a big key in this defense, because if he's healthy, that's going to really be important. But if he goes down or doesn't play, they got nobody behind him.
But JC, what have I told you about linebacker play? What's important for linebacker play?
Well, I mean, many things.
You don't remember, do you?
Well, maybe I do, but what was the exact thing you said?
A good linebacker can't be a good linebacker and flow to the ball if the front four is not doing their job.
Oh, sure. Right. Okay. Yes.
You have to, in order for your linebackers, your second level to make plays, the defensive line has to do their job.
Well,
and that is my biggest concern, and it has been my biggest concern for years.
Okay. But they still have a lack of depth, I guess is my point. And he's the only guy with experience, whether they have good linemen or not. You've got 6-year guy there. And after him, there's nothing. So I want him to stay healthy, but I want all of them to stay healthy. And, it's true that you have to have a good front seven, the front guys up front. I agree, 100% right. But man, I mean, that's where the issues are, I think, is the depth on defense with experienced players. And certainly the penalties and the discipline. Discipline translates to lack of penalties, right? This Florida team had more penalties than I can ever remember last year, and that was a discipline issue. That won't be a problem this year. That's a good thing.
Switching gears, the 3M Open is going on up in Minnesota. JC, we didn't get to do a Peachland Dentistry weekend pick. Maybe we'll pick some guys now since round one has already started. It's Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas.
Yeah.
Visit them at peachlanddental.com. First, before we get to this, I thought Ricky Fowler was on the Tour 54. Is he not?
Yeah.
He's playing in this event.
I know. And I got word that, and I don't know if this was corroborated as being correct, but I thought Finau had signed with them too. So I guess here he is. And
there's rumors out there that a lot of the big boys, the Xanders, the Patrick Cantleys, they're going to join Tour 54 after the FedEx Cup.
Okay. Well, that could be. And
I still cannot understand. I mean, I do understand the money. I understand the money. Okay, I get it. But it's still, I mean, it's basically it would be like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and these guys, Vince McMahon or some crazy billionaire starts a new flag football league where, because it's not real football, and just pays them money. And what you say is, you know what? My life, I'm done competing. I don't have any competitive juices anymore. I'm just going to take this money and we're going to go over here and we're going to play exhibition charity events.
Maybe their thinking is that if we get enough good players to come and take enough good money, then eventually it will become competitive because of the talent that the rosters
It can't be competitive, though, the way that they do it, JC. I mean, think about it. The great thing about golf, and it's tennis the same way, if you don't win or you don't make the cut, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's one of the greatest sports there is. So now you already have this big bank account full of money.
Mm-hmm.
You go to play your 54 shotgun start, which is dumb as hell. Your shotgun start on hole 7. Now I'm starting on a par 3, okay, over water. All right. So you start on your shotgun start. And if you shoot like Phil Mickelson and these guys are shooting like 8, 9 over par, they don't care. They're still getting money. It makes no sense to me. But anyway.
I'm with you, dude. I'm not a big fan. I have not paid much attention to it. It's just not something that crosses my thinking in my mind. Dusty Johnson wants to go play on this tour, be a household name in Europe or whatever, and then play a few assorted courses here in America. I think they're going to play one of Trump's in New Jersey. They're going to have their Tour 54 championship down at Doral, because the PGA left Doral. So he's opened it up for that. I mean,
I understand the money part of it, but my point is, whenever you have been so competitive your entire life,
right?
I mean, I seriously, it may be a bad comparison or analogy, but it would be like Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady taking $200 million to go play in a flag football league that means nothing.
Yeah, I'm there with you. All
right, so let's since we have to do some Peachland Dental picks, is there anything to pick other than the golf tournament that's already started?
No, there's just baseball basically. You have baseball QB, and we're in that dead time before training camp and before the kids come back to campus for the fall semester. So we're kind of in the we're going around the moon. We've lost contact, and then we'll be coming back and getting back in contact when we get on. We're right now on the other side of the moon, about to come back. It's going to take a little while. I don't know. Baseball is interesting if you are either gambling or know somebody who's playing. That's about what it gets for me. I mean, how much time have you spent watching a baseball game the last 3 months? I can tell you I've watched one game from start to finish. Have you watched any game from start to finish?
No, Lord, no. I haven't done that in years.
And I did it for the first time in many years when I saw Tampa Bay play the Red Sox a couple nights ago, and it lasted 3 hours and 25 minutes. I watched every darn pitch, and I thought, what did I just do? And it was just a true lack of having anything better to do or watch. So, that's just the way it goes. But golf for me is over. The British Open or the Open Championship, that's it. I mean, the Tour Championship is coming in August. I mean, are you going to worry about that? I mean, I guess you'll watch it, but it doesn't excite me as much as a major tournament. So, I think, we're just kind of, we're reacting to what we hear from these, conference meetings, which we really don't hear anything. I did hear that Greg Sankey said, we are good at 16. I read Matt Hayes write that well before Sankey said it. So obviously he's said it more than once. It was not an earth-shattering news release. We're good at 16, and it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. The other thing I heard was that both Joe Castiglione and Chris Del Conte said, we ain't coming until 2025. Well, I looked at the calendar in the kitchen that some church sent me, and it's still 2022. So that's a darn long time away. 25, I can't think of that either. So as far as I'm concerned, Texas and Oklahoma are Big 12 teams. They are not SEC schools. They are Big 12 teams. And until that changes, I'm going to keep it that way. They are in the Big 12.
Well, we got to get to Thomas Goldkamp and talk Gator recruiting. So Pat Narduzzi, you have a great weekend, Pat.
Okay, we'll see you Monday.
That's Pat Narduzzi. Join us on the Titan MR Highline. Going to take a quick timeout. Maybe it's you're Jackie Sherrill back in the day.
Jackie. Johnny Majors, Jackie Sherrill.
Yes.
We're
going to take a quick timeout. We'll be right back. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okito America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate. With premium brands like Escape Apology, Sushi Hana, Regal Cinemas, Kilwin's, Le Macaron, Prime and Pearl, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 2:30, you can get the hottest brunch in town. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. Going to head to the Titan MR hotline again. We're going to be joined by Thomas Goldkamp, former Gator beat writer for 24/7 Sports. Now he's a free agent looking for a Kyler Murray type deal. Good morning, Thomas. How are you, my man?
I'm great, Shane. Thanks for having me on.
All right. First of all, let's let everybody know that you were with 24/7, no longer covering the Gators, but you still follow the Gators, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I went to UF in 2007, ended up staying, and was a beat writer for the last 12 years or so. So definitely has my interest.
Yes, no doubt about it. All right. Well, you follow recruiting very closely. I want to start with this first, the quarterback position. I've watched maybe 5 minutes of so-called tape of Jaden Rashada and Marcus Stokes. And the little bit of tape that I watched, Marcus Stokes to me is the better quarterback. I think Florida made out better getting Stokes. Just give me your thoughts or what the so-called experts think about that.
Shane, I'm going to lean on your opinion on that one, obviously. I haven't played the game. I evaluate a little bit different than most people. I need guys that can throw completions. I don't need a dude who can run around and run over a guy. We need to throw. To win in college football today, you have got to throw the football. And I just think Stokes, now he's a little not erratic, but he's a little plays out of the system at times. Kind of, I don't want to compare him to Johnny Manziel, but he can run around and do those type of things. But that's just my opinion. I look at quarterbacks a little bit different than some people. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a guy that, fits what Billy Napier's looking for, to be honest. I mean, you look at, kind of what Levi Lewis did at Louisiana for him. That seems to fit the same type of description you just gave. And I think for me, the more interesting thing about how that all unfolded is how quickly Billy Napier reacted to kind of missing on the guy that they were, shooting for initially. And obviously NIL, played a factor in that. And I think, that's been something that, Billy Napier and his staff have had to adjust to. But I think they've done it well. And I think that the ability for them to go in and very, very quietly behind the scenes, basically work the Stokes commitment to the point where they landed him, I think says a lot about how quickly Billy's adjusting.
We got a couple of comments here for you, brought to you by Melton Law. John says, Thomas was great at 24/7. I've been a big fan of his for years. He always does great work. Andy says, Thomas, love following you on Twitter. What do you like following the most, college recruiting or the stock market?
I got to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of recruiting itself. I know how important it is to programs, but man, it's hard to keep up with 17-year-olds all the time.
Yeah, there's no question. Speaking of recruiting, because like I said, we don't talk a whole lot of recruiting here. We get a ton of questions, people complaining. If you get on Twitter, people always bitching and complaining. But I try to tell people, I'm like, look, first of all, you can't get everybody. You can only sign 25 players, and kids are going to choose to go where they want to go. Having said all that, I'm not a big fan of the NIL deal at all, Thomas, personally, not what it's doing now. Getting paid for jersey sales, autographs, appearances, I have zero problem with. But just flat out buying players, I don't know one coach that agrees that enjoys it. By following recruiting, isn't that where it's going now? Parents, basically, when they go visit, they say, what are y'all going to pay us?
I don't know that that's where it's going. I think that's where it is. I
Right,
think we're already
right,
there.
true.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think, we haven't heard a whole lot of coaches kind of publicly come out and
very vocally say, hey, this is a bad thing. And for obvious reasons, right? They got to recruit these guys. So you don't want to put yourself behind the eight ball. But I think what you're talking about is absolutely a real thing. I think, it was obviously intended to be a way to get the players a little bit more of the pie. I think the implementation has been pretty disastrous so far. And hopefully they can, course correct on this, I think, before it gets too far out of whack.
So right now, I don't even know where the Gators are ranked in recruiting. Where do you see? I think there's supposed to be some big time guys supposed to be making some announcements here late July. Can you give us kind of an update? What's going on there?
Yeah, Florida's got a number of key targets. Right now, I think they're at 23 nationally, if you go by 24/7 Sports. But Peyton Kirkland, I think, is a guy that has an announcement coming up soon. Tommy Kinsler, a couple of O-linemen. Florida's, lost a couple battles to Florida State on the offensive line. So that is probably one of the most key positions, I think, to continue to shore up in this class. But really, I think this recruiting class is looking pretty good across the board. I mean, if you look at the blue chip percentage that Florida has, 10 of the 12 recruits that the Gators have right now are 4-star prospects. So, I think Billy Napier's done a good job. I think right now what a lot of Florida fans, and especially, the people that are on Twitter that, follow this super closely and tend to be more predisposed to the negative, what they're looking for is those truly elite types, those 5-star types. And when you go back to the, the Rashada Stokes thing, I think one of the reasons Florida fans were a little upset, it was, Rashada, right or wrong, was ranked such that he was one of those guys that you could say definitively, okay, we're beating out some of these other top-notch programs for that borderline 5-star type. And that's kind of what was missing under Dan Mullen. He did a much better job, I thought, of elevating, at least on paper, the floor of Florida's recruiting classes, but you still missed a couple of those top-end talents on a regular basis.
Joseph asked here, there's a couple of guys making some announcements. I think it's pronounced Aguero, Malik Bryant, and Peyton Kirkland. Do the Gators have a shot at any of those?
I think, there's been a lot of positive momentum for Malik Bryant in particular over the last couple of days. Now we'll see where that ends. That goes back to kind of, this has been a challenging period with NIL, and it's I think it's a little bit harder to get a gauge on where guys really stand right now than maybe years past. Kirkland's been a tough one to figure. That one's been back and forth a lot, and I don't know Aguirre quite as much. But yeah, I think Florida's got a good shot with some of these prospects that are announcing here at the end of July, and this is kind of going to be, I think, the next week or so, a chance for Billy Napier to prove that they're continuing to build momentum in the right direction.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Thomas Goldkamp, former 24/7 beat writer for the Gators. Now he's a free agent. And Thomas, if you want to follow Thomas on Twitter, it's at Thomas Goldkamp. John says, Thomas, I thought the Gator panel you were on was great. It was great conversation. Can you comment on what happened to that, or is it coming back?
To be honest, I don't know fully. I wasn't the guy that kind of orchestrated that. I know Corey Knowles and Dave Waters of Gators Breakdown kind of were in charge of putting that together. And I know a lot of fans liked it. It was kind of cool to have, 8 to as many as I think 10 writers at some points sit down, and not just writers, but writers, podcasters sit down and talk Gators. I'd love to get back on. I hope they put that together again.
All right. A couple more questions here for you. When you look at this roster that Billy Napier has going into this year, I don't follow it like you guys do, Thomas, but my eyes tell me that the last couple of years, Florida has not had what I call a legitimate top to bottom SEC roster. And I don't think they will have one until Billy Napier's in year 3. Where do you see this roster? How do you see this team playing out this year?
I think you nailed it. I think the biggest issue that I see right now, one is I think lack of talented depth. But two, I just don't know where the elite playmakers are. Those guys that you look at before a season and that guy's a first team all SEC type player. I don't see it right now. I think Florida has the potential to be better than expected with the starting offensive line. I think the run game could be very good. Obviously, Anthony Richardson's potential is through the roof. But that receiver group, I got to be honest, Shane, I've been around, Florida practices for 15 years now. That group does not jump out on paper. There's when you go to the practice fields, there just are not guys that are consistently getting separation, making plays. So I'm kind of with you. I think the defensive talent is probably a little bit better than most people think, and was maybe masked a little bit by, some poor scheming and probably, a little bit too much loyalty to playing seniors over maybe some more talented younger players. So I'm curious to see how that defensive side of the ball plays out. But I'm with you overall. This is not a Florida roster that I look at and say, oh, this is a team that definitely competes for the SEC East.
Yeah. John asked here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law. Thomas, what kind of chance do you give us with CJ Baxter? Can we beat out Texas?
I think that's going to be a tough one. That's another recruiting battle where I think Florida, if they were able to pull that out, that's the kind of one you circle and you say, oh, wow, we might have something cooking here. But just realistically, I think that's going to be a tough pull.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree 100% with what you said from explosive, making big plays on the outside on offense. I said it earlier before you came on that we don't have anybody that keeps the defensive coordinator awake at night worrying about if this kid catches a slant, can he take it to the house? We don't have those type of guys. And I've said I've been concerned for the last 3 years with our defensive front seven, Thomas. I just don't think it's SEC caliber. I don't know if this year it will be either. I'm glad Ventrell Miller's coming back. I think he's a solid player. But if the front four don't do their job, it doesn't allow him to flow and make plays. When you look at, let's just talk about the defensive line that Florida has right now. Is there anybody that they signed or anybody that can help them be more stout up front?
I think the problem is going to be they recruited the defensive tackle spot so poorly in the 2018 and 2019 cycles that you're still seeing the impacts of that. And I think Javon Dexter is, poised to have a potentially really big year. I like Brenton Cox on the edge, though I think he needs to get a little bit more disciplined against the run. Princely Umanmielen on the other side, I think, can be really good. So you've got some building blocks. The problem is you don't have any idea who that second defensive tackle is going to be. And then outside of Ventrell Miller, speaking of the front seven, there's not really anybody that's proven at this level at linebacker. You had some key departures. So my question is going to be, can Florida stop the run? And right now I can't answer that totally definitively that they will be able to.
Matt brings up a good point here, saying how many schools have an SEC roster top to bottom, maybe 3 or 4. Yes, but Florida should be in that. It should, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and Florida, in my opinion, should have an SEC caliber roster from top to bottom year in and year out. Is that a crazy statement to say?
No, I don't think so. I mean, look, we've seen multiple Florida coaches, whether or not they were successful on the field or not, recruit to that type of level. I mean, Ron Zook did it. Will Muschamp did it. I mean, it's, those are guys that didn't ultimately have success at Florida, but had a loaded roster to where, you saw what could happen, when those guys got coached the right way. I mean, I don't think it's crazy at all to expect where Florida is. Now, I know the recruiting game has changed some, and Alabama and Clemson, Ohio State, those kind of programs get into Florida more than they used to. But to me, there's no reason Florida shouldn't be in that mix.
Yeah. All right, last thing for you here, text on the Titan Mark text line. Jay says, any chance you could give us your thoughts on the regular season record this year?
I think it's really hard to figure out right now. I mean, because of that depth issue. I mean, especially at quarterback, we didn't talk about that at all, but Anthony Richardson has all the potential in the world. I'm curious to see what happens once teams get tape on him. But nobody's going to deny that he's a guy that if everything goes right, you could win 9 or 10 games with. I mean, he can lead you to that. I think, with the pieces around him, sort of by himself. The problem is if he gets hurt or dinged up, this is a team that could struggle to win 7 games. I mean, really, realistically. So I think there's a wide range of outcomes. I think the smart thing for fans to do would be, to be able to evaluate, understand there is a little bit of a lack of depth. We don't know about the top end talent, especially at some of those skill spots. So, you got to evaluate based on the circumstances as they play out this year and, be willing to be patient a little bit as this roster gets shored up.
Yeah, I've said, I've been on record, if we win 7 or more games, I think it'd be a phenomenal year. I know it's hard to swallow saying that, but I just watching last year's team from the press box calling games. Now I know we're going to be more disciplined. I know we're going to play harder because he will not put up with that. But it's just talent wise, I just don't see it. But you're right. Anthony's got to stay healthy and he's got to have a phenomenal year. And if he does, he can carry them maybe to a couple more wins. Before we let you go, Thomas, let everybody know, give them your Twitter handle. And maybe you're looking to make an announcement, possibly if you sign as a free agent with someone here soon.
Yeah, I'm working my NIL deals right now. But no, you can follow me on Twitter at Thomas Goldkamp. I hope to be back in, sort of the reporting space here fairly soon, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I went to Florida. I've got a lot of background on this program. I still keep up with them on the daily. So I do like to share my thoughts here and there when I have an opinion.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time, joining our program. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon, bud.
Thanks, Shane.
That's Thomas Goldkamp. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take a time out, come back, wrap up this Friday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruzoga State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Go visit them at ograinsurance.com, 352-240-1779. I want to thank JC and Thomas Goldkamp for joining us on the Titan More Hotline. Let's get to This Day in Sports, which is brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort's our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat and schedule your air conditioners tune up today, keeping you chill in the Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Call us today, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports, 2019. The Cowboys were named the most valuable sports team in the world, worth $5 billion. The Yankees at second at $4.6 billion, and Real Madrid third with $4.2 billion, according to Forbes. Now, that may have changed in the last 3 years or so, but that's brought to you by our This Day in Sports, which is brought to you by Comfort Temp. I wanted to get to this text before we get out of here. I may address it again on Monday. It's a good one, though. Alan says in Atlanta, he says, Shane, a new sports network calls and offers you millions guaranteed to be color commentator on rebroadcast of old SEC games. You would lose your Gator gig, but again, millions. What would you do? Well, first of all, I'm not getting paid millions at all to do the Gator games. I mean, you can't, at least the PGA Tour guys are having a chance to win millions on the PGA Tour. But the difference is, it's not about, I'm a competitive guy. This scenario has nothing to do about competition. This is just about talking about a game. So I don't know what I would do. I mean, I hear your point, Alan, but you'll never convince me of what they're doing in the Tour 54 because it's not real golf. Like I told you, my analogy may not be a great one, but it's very similar. The great quarterbacks in the National Football League taking millions of dollars just to go play flag football
in something that nobody cares about. I think that's, but I hear what you're saying. So anyway, make sure you tell all your friends and family to follow us and like us on all the different platforms. We're on 1 million of them out there. So, Greg says since 1997, J-Lo has 6 rings. The Dallas Cowboys have none, and they're the most famous franchise in sports. But hope you enjoyed today's program. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Take care.